Hey guys, today's video is a speed painting of my Katarina MenoOG entry. The MenoOG's contest, I think that's how it would be pronounced, had us create a portrait of our favorite champions with an intense emotion, and I'll admit mine weren't that intense, which is probably why I didn't win. But that's fine. Congratulations to everybody who did, of course. It was still fun. I love League of Legends, and portraits is my specialty, so it's not really like it was some hard labor that I was just trying to get through for like the prize or anything. So I obviously enjoyed actually making these paintings, and I guess I'll just talk about my process now. So I started with a rough sketch that you saw in the beginning, and of course I didn't record that because it just makes my videos too long, and it's sort of like a long process to get a sketch that you like, so I just kind of skip all that. And after I had my little sketch, like usual, I traced it and with clean lines. So I did clean line work because the way I'm doing this painting, it would be best to do super thin lines, but I didn't because I'm dumb. Yeah, because the thinner your lines are, basically the easier it'll be to get rid of them later on, and also the easier it will be to get your masks to be clean, which I'll explain later. Anyways, so I try to keep everything super clean because it's important. And after that, I fixed a couple of my issues with the transform tomb and liquefy, and once I was happy with the line art, I began masking everything off. Which is what you're seeing right now. So I saw this method of masking being done by Jennifer Westling, and I'm not sure I'm doing it right. Like, I'm not sure I'm doing it her way. I just sort of saw her separating stuff into colors, and so that's the way I'm doing it, and I don't know if that's the way she does it, but I tried. Basically, I'm just separating everything into color layers so I can later use them as select masks. I made sure not to let anything of the same color touch, or else the point of the mask would be kind of lost. And once that was done, I started filling everything, like all my line art and all that, using the masks with on separate layers with the base colors of all the materials. And then after that, I rendered everything piece by piece using the masks I previously made. So this masking method saved me a ton of time in the end, where I'm usually staying up all night cleaning every tiny little piece, that like every little mistake, every edge, and like yeah, I just stay up all night, or depending on what time I'm doing it, I'm sitting for hours and hours doing that, which is sort of annoying. And this just made it go way faster. It shortened my overpainting process, and it made it super short and sweet. So now I guess I'll talk about some of the choices I made and why. So for this piece, I really wanted to try to make everything super angular and jagged. That's why her eyes are sort of sharp. I usually do rounder eyes, and then her shoulders are sharp, and her hair sort of has jagged angles, and I try to make them like sort of spiky and pointy because I was really trying to show anger with, you know, rugged with shapes. So yeah, I try to make everything super triangular. I even tried to make her breast triangular, but that looked weird, so obviously I didn't go with that, as you can see. Something else. I think for a lot of the competition, like a lot of my entries, because I did a couple, I'll put them up on the video eventually. I did a couple, and I feel like I was always too scared to make the character ugly or like really go ham with the features, which I noticed the winners did, and so I was like, oh, my bad. Whatever, I'll do it next time if there ever is a next time. So yeah, I feel like a lot of my emotions or a lot of the features weren't as extreme as they could have been, and that was my bad. Oh well. I also use like a more cartoonier style because that sort of style lends its way to more extreme proportions and extreme emotions. So my other three entries, well, my other two were a little bit more close to what I normally do, like realism-ish, like semi-realism, like those two. Those were done sort of realistic, you know, like you can see the difference. This one's a little bit more cartoony, which let me get away with a little bit more extreme features on the face. Of course, I could have gone further and made it even more cartoony, or just even in this style gone a little bit more extreme. But again, I missed that mark, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that was why I sort of chose this style for this particular piece. And this was my last one after I completed those other three, which one of them, my LeBlanc one, I have a video for. That's why I didn't put it up previously. And yeah, so this one was different from the previous two because it was a lot more stylized in the sense that it was a little more cartoony. Something interesting that I've always kind of known a little bit of, but definitely came up in this piece, is that red is really hard to pull off. Like anything red is hard to pull off. Will make the red really stand out without it being super saturated. So at first I was trying to go with like realistic shading and realistic rendering. So I was doing colors that were new, what are they called? Neutral. So I didn't want them to be too saturated. So that wasn't really working out. And in the end, I just kind of oversaturated her hair, which in my opinion made it look a lot more good. A lot more good. It made it look better, in my opinion. And yeah, so just something interesting is that red looks a lot better when it's super saturated. I know you can say that about like a lot of colors, like everything looks better when it's saturated, but not really. Like you can get away with unsaturated blues and unsaturated greens sort of look like blue, whatever. But the point is, if you really want it to look red, saturation is pretty important. and the painting is just about done. So that means the video is about to end. So thanks to anybody who's watching, and if you like my videos, subscribe, and yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.
Blood for Nox